Mara began to speak, though there was no one else in the salon. Nea strained to hear the words, but could only catch bits and pieces.
I've done everything you asked. Please not again. No more tonight.
Then, out of the corner of her eye, Nea saw a faint, shadowy figure glide across the room. Nea's heart raced. Suddenly, Mara's voice changed.
Please. I need more time. Tomorrow another client, just like you said.
Her hands trembling as she cleaned. Nea felt a chill run down her spine. Something wasn't right. Something dark was happening in that salon, and she needed to find out what. In the heart of a bustling African village, there stood a small salon that was famous far and wide. The owner, Mara, was known for her exceptional braiding skills. Her hands moved so fast, it seemed like magic. She could finish a full head of intricate braids in half the time it took other stylists, and her work was flawless. Women from surrounding villages would travel long distances just to sit in her chair. They marveled at the neatness of her work and how gentle she was, making even the longest sessions painless. But there was one peculiar thing about Mara's salon. There were no mirrors. From the moment a customer entered, they would notice that not a single reflective surface could be found. No one could see what Mara was doing to their hair until she was completely done. While most people found this strange, they'd never questioned it. After all, Mara's braids were perfect, and they trusted her skill. For many, the mystery of what was happening behind them made the final reveal all the more exciting. Mara had only one rule for her customers: no mirrors. If anyone brought a mirror or tried to sneak a peek in their phones, she would kindly but firmly ask them to put it away. Most clients obeyed without hesitation, trusting that whatever Mara was doing to their hair would be beautiful. They had never been disappointed, so they followed the rule and enjoyed their appointments in silence or idle chatter, without a single reflection in sight. Nea had heard about Mara's famous braids from her sister, who had recently gotten her hair done at the salon. "You have to go, Nea. Her hands are like magic," her sister had gushed, showing off her stunning braids that shimmered in the sunlight. The braids were so perfect, it looked like they had been done by an artist. But the strangest part was when her sister mentioned, almost in passing, "Oh, but she doesn't allow mirrors." This had caught Nea's attention. Why wouldn't someone allow mirrors in a salon? It didn't make sense. After all, a mirror was a basic tool for any hairstylist. Nea's curiosity was piqued, and she knew she had to see for herself. The next morning, Nea walked to the salon, her curiosity growing with each step. As she arrived, she was greeted by the sight of Mara, a tall, graceful woman with long, flowing hair and a serene expression. Mara welcomed her with a warm smile, ushering her to the chair. "Sit, relax. I'll make you look beautiful," Mara said, her voice soft and calming. Nea noticed, just as her sister had said, that there were no mirrors in the salon. The walls were plain, and even Mara's tools were carefully arranged with no reflective surfaces in sight. Nea sat down, but her curiosity kept nagging at her. Why the rule? What was Mara hiding? As Mara began to braid, her hands moved quickly, almost too fast to follow. Nea could feel the soft tugging of her hair being parted and twisted, but without a mirror, she had no idea what Mara was doing. The rhythm of Mara's hands was soothing, almost hypnotic, but Nea couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. After her visit, Nea couldn't stop thinking about the strange rule in Mara's salon. Why would a hairstylist forbid mirrors? It wasn't normal. Nea had enjoyed her braids. Mara's skill was undeniable. But something about the no mirrors rule unsettled her. Over the next few days, Nea asked some of the village women about the rule. "Oh, that's just how Mara does things," one woman said, shrugging. "She's always been that way. But who cares? Look at my hair," she added, proudly showing off her perfect braids. Another woman, who was older and had known Mara for years, was just as dismissive. "Mara's hands are gifted by the spirits. That's why she's so fast. If she says no mirrors, we respect that," she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. But Nia wasn't satisfied with these answers. She felt that there was something more, something hidden behind Mara's calm demeanor and quick fingers. She decided to dig deeper. That evening, as she lay in bed, Nia made up her mind. She would find out the truth behind the no mirror rule, no matter what. A few days later, long after the sun had set and the village was quiet, Nia found herself creeping towards Mara's salon. She knew it was risky, but her curiosity had grown into something she couldn't ignore. She needed to know why Mara's salon was so different from every other place. Nia hid in the shadows behind a nearby tree, her eyes fixed on the dimly lit salon. Through the open window, she could see Mara inside, sweeping the floor and cleaning up after a long day of work. Everything seemed normal at first, but then Nia noticed something strange. Mara wasn't alone. Mara began to speak, though there was no one else in the salon. Nia strained to hear the words, but could only catch bits and pieces. "I have done as you asked. Tomorrow." "Another client?" Mara murmured. Then, out of the corner of her eye, Nia saw a faint, shadowy figure glide across the room. The figure was barely visible, almost like a mist, but it was there, watching Mara. Nia's heart raced. Who was Mara talking to? And what was that shadowy presence? Suddenly, Mara's voice changed. It became sharper, more fearful. "Please, not again. I need more time," she whispered, her hands trembling as she cleaned. Nia felt a chill run down her spine. Something wasn't right. Something dark was happening in that salon, and she needed to find out what. The next morning, Nia couldn't shake the images of the previous night. She had seen something, someone in Mara's salon, and whatever it wasn't human. Determined to get to the bottom of this mystery, Nia sought out the oldest woman in the village, Mama Kito. She had lived in the village for many years and knew all the stories, legends, and secrets. When Nia arrived at Mama Kito's small, cozy hut, the old woman was already sitting outside. "You've come with questions," Mama Kito said, her voice low and knowing. Nia nodded, sitting beside her. "I need to know about Mara and her salon," she began. "Why doesn't she allow mirrors? And there's something more. I saw something. Last night, a shadow." Mama Kito looked at Nia thoughtfully for a moment, then sighed. "You are brave to ask, child. Many don't dare. But you are right. There is a spirit bound to Mara. It has been with her since she was a child." Nia listened intently as Mama Kito explained the dark story. When Mara was just a little girl, she stumbled upon an old, cursed tree in the forest. Beneath that tree lay a trapped spirit, an evil one. It promised her great skills, a gift with her hands, but at a terrible cost. The spirit bound itself to Mara, making her the fastest and most skilled braider in the land, but it also trapped her. She is its prisoner. "And the mirrors?" Nia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The spirit cannot bear to see itself in a mirror. If Mara works in front of one, the spirit would be revealed, and that would bring great harm to her," Mama Kito explained. Nia left Mama Kito's hut with a heavy heart. Now she understood the truth. Mara wasn't just an extraordinary hairstylist. She was trapped, bound to an evil spirit that controlled her life and her gift. The no mirrors rule wasn't just a strange quirk. It was the only thing keeping Mara alive. But Nia couldn't just leave things as they were. Mara deserved to be free. She had suffered long enough under the spirit's control. Determined to help, Nia returned to Mama Quito the next day to ask for guidance. "I want to help Mara," Nia said, her voice firm. "There must be a way to free her from the spirit." Mama Quito nodded slowly. "There is a way, but it is dangerous. The spirit is powerful and cunning. You will need great courage and the help of an ancient tool, a sacred mirror that can trap the spirit inside. But be warned, child, the spirit will not go easily." Nia listened carefully as Mama Quito explained how to use the sacred mirror. It was no ordinary mirror. It had been blessed by the village's ancestors and was hidden in a secret place deep in the forest. The mirror had the power to reflect the spirit's true form and trap it forever, but the process was risky. If anything went wrong, both Mara and Nia could be in grave danger. Nia set off the next morning to retrieve the sacred mirror, her heart pounding with both fear and determination. She followed Mama Quito's instructions, trekking deep into the forest where the mirror had been hidden for generations. The path was narrow and overgrown, with twisted vines and towering trees blocking the sunlight. After hours of walking, Nia finally reached the spot where the mirror was kept, a small clearing in the forest surrounded by ancient stones. In the center of the clearing stood a tall, twisted tree, and beneath its roots lay a wooden box. Nia knelt beside the tree and gently lifted the box. Inside was the sacred mirror. The mirror was small, with an intricately carved wooden frame. Its surface shimmered even in the dim light of the forest. As Nia held it in her hands, she could feel its power, a quiet strength that filled her with both hope and fear. With the sacred mirror in hand, Nia hurried back to the village. She knew that the next time she visited Mara's salon, everything would change. The spirit that had controlled Mara for so long was about to face its greatest challenge. Armed with the sacred mirror, Nia returned to Mara's salon. Her heart was racing, but she knew there was no turning back. As she approached, she noticed Mara sitting outside, looking more tired than usual. The salon, with its familiar yet strange aura, seemed heavier that day. Nia greeted Mara, trying to stay calm. "Mara, I know the truth," she said. Mara looked at her. "I want to help you," Nia continued, showing her the mirror. Mara's eyes widened in fear. She stepped back, shaking her head. "No, you don't understand," Mara whispered. "If the spirit sees that, it will destroy everything. It's too dangerous." But Nia stood firm. "It's the only way to free you. You don't have to live like this anymore, Mara. Trust me." After a long pause, Mara nodded. That afternoon, Nia sat in Mara's chair, and the salon felt eerily quiet. Mara began braiding her hair, her hands trembling at first, but then she fell into her usual rhythm. Then the air around them grew colder, and the room darkened slightly. Nia could feel the spirit's presence. It was angry, aware that something was wrong. The faint shadow from before started swirling around the room, becoming more visible with each passing moment. Mara's hands started to shake uncontrollably as the spirit's whispers filled the air. "Don't do this," it hissed. "You will regret it, both of you." Nia's heart raced, but she couldn't back down now. She waited until the spirit's figure loomed larger, taking a more definite form. Then, with all the strength she could muster, Nia lifted the sacred mirror. The spirit recoiled in horror as soon as it saw the mirror. Its shadowy figure lashed out, causing the walls of the salon to shake violently. "No!" The spirit screamed, the shadowy figure swirled wildly, trying to avoid the mirror's gaze. But the sacred glass drew it in. Mara collapsed to the floor, her hands clutching her chest as the spirit struggled. She focused all her energy on keeping the mirror steady, even as the spirit's cries filled the room. Finally, with one last screech, the spirit was pulled entirely into the mirror. The salon was eerily quiet after the battle. The spirit was gone, its dark energy now trapped inside the sacred mirror. Nea felt a sense of relief wash over her, but when she turned to Mara, she saw her friend lying still on the floor, her face pale. "Mara?" Nea rushed to her side, her heart pounding in her chest. For a moment, she feared the worst. But then Mara stirred, opening her eyes slowly. She was weak but alive. "Mara, it's over," Nea whispered, helping her sit up. "The spirit is gone. You're free." Mara looked around in disbelief, as if she couldn't quite comprehend what had just happened. Tears welled up in her eyes as the realization sunk in. For the first time in years, the heavy weight that had controlled her life was lifted. Nea helped Mara stand and guided her to a chair. "Rest," Nea said softly. "You've been through so much." Mara reached for Nea's hand, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, her voice full of gratitude. "I've lived with this curse for so long. I thought I would never be free." Nea smiled. "You don't have to thank me, Mara. You've helped so many people with your talent. It was time someone helped you." Mara wiped her tears and looked around the salon. "From now on, no more strange rules," she said with a weak but determined smile. "No more hiding." Word of Mara's freedom spread through the village like wildfire. The women, who had always admired Mara's talent, were overjoyed to hear that the strange rule was gone and that Mara had been freed from the curse. Many of them had suspected something was wrong, but none had dared to question it. Until Nea. A few days later, the village gathered for a celebration in Mara's honor. There was music, dancing, and laughter as the women showed off their new braids, knowing that they were now done without the shadow of the spirit looming over the salon. The villagers praised Nea for her bravery. "You saved Mara, and all of us," one of the women said, hugging Nea tightly. Nea, though humbled by the attention, simply smiled. She knew that she had done what was right, and that was enough. With the curse lifted, Mara's salon became even more popular than before. Women from faraway villages flocked to get their hair braided by the now completely free Mara. There were no more strange rules, no more fearful whispers about the salon. It was now a place of joy, laughter, and beauty. Mara worked with a lightness in her heart that she had never known before. She braided hair with the same speed and skill, but now there was no dark presence pushing her hands. Her customers felt it too. The salon was filled with warmth and happiness, something that had been missing for years. Nea became a regular visitor, not just for braids, but as a close friend of Mara. What do you think about Nea's bravery and Mara's talent? Share your thoughts in the comment below.